Hey folks, what we now like to talk about is the comfort letter. And specifically, a comfort letter is a letter we write to underwriters. It's not a letter we're writing to Sugar Bear, Peter Olinto, to tell him how wonderful he is. We love Pete, but this is to an underwriter. This is to give comfort to the underwriter who's going to ultimately issue the bond of a company, and yet that company's last audit was 8 or 9 months ago. They want to make sure that they've covered their due diligence by getting the comfort letter from us. We want to show you what it looks like and how we would respond to it. So let's take a look and read it together. First of all, you'll note right here that we have the requesting party is going to be the ultimate underwriter. So they're going to have various items. So the auditor is going to ultimately provide a comfort letter to the requesting party, the underwriter. And then, of course, attorney's opinion or representation letter will probably come back to us. You'll note ultimately, all of this is the performance of certain procedures that need to be done so that the client, which in this particular case we're going to assume is a non-issuer, can ultimately borrow money or ultimately issue a bond. So we want to take a look at what the letter actually looks like. So let's take a look. You'll note right here, the letter starts out and we address it and it says, "Dear ladies and gentlemen, we have audited the consolidated financial statements of non-issuer company and their subsidiaries, which comprise the consolidated statements as of December 31st, year 5 and year 4. Each of the years in the 3-year period ended December 31st, year 5, and the related notes to the consolidated statements, all included in the issuer companies," and then we put registration statement, "on Form S-1 filed with the Registration and the Securities Exchange Commission under the Act of 33. Our report with respect thereto is also included in that registration statement. The registration statement, as amended on June 28th of year 6, is herein referred to as the registration statement." You'll notice it states, "We are independent. We are independent certified public accountants with respect to the company within the meaning of the 33 Act and the applicable rules and regulations thereunder adopted by the SEC." There's a positive reference to that. There's positive assurance there. It says, "In our opinion, the consolidated financials audited by us and included in the registration comply as to form in all material respects with the applicable accounting requirements of the Act and the related rules and regulations adopted by the SEC." Notice once again a very positive assurance. Now note the next line. "We have not audited any financials of the company as of any date or period subsequent to December 31st of last year. Although we have conducted an audit for the year ended December 31st, the purpose and therefore the scope of that audit was to enable us to express an opinion on the consolidated financials as of last year and for the year ended, but not for the financial statement purposes for any interims within the year. Therefore, we are unable and do not express an opinion on the unaudited, condensed, consolidated balance sheet as of March 31st this year and the unaudited, condensed, consolidated statements of income, stockholders' equity, and cash flows for the 3-month period ended this March and last March, included in the registration statement or in the financial position results of operations as of any date or for any period subsequent to that period end." It also states, "For the purpose of this letter, we have read the next year, year XY, meeting minutes," right? So we've gone to the minutes of the stockholders, the board of directors of the company and its subsidiaries set forth in the minutes books as of June 23rd. Officials of the company have advised us that the minutes of all such meetings through that date were set forth therein and have discussed with us the unapproved minutes of meetings held on or after that date. With respect to the 3-month period ended March 31st, we have, here's some of the additional information, performed the procedures specified for a review in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, applicable to reviews of interim financial information on the unaudited, condensed, consolidated statements as of the interim period, March 31st, year 6, and the unaudited, condensed, consolidated income statement, stockholders' equity, and cash flows for the 3-month period of March 31st, year 6 and year 5, included in the registration statement. We inquired of certain officials of the company who have responsibility for the financial accounting matters, whether unaudited, condensed, consolidated statements referred to and complied as to form in all material respects with the applicable accounting requirements of the Act and the related rules of regulations adopted by the SEC. With respect to the period April 1 through the end of May, we have read the unaudited, condensed financial information of the company and subsidiaries for April and May for both year 5 and year 6, furnished to us by the company. Officials of the company have advised us that no financial statements as of any date or for any period subsequent to May 31st were available. We made inquiries of certain officials of the company who have responsibility for financial and accounting matters, whether unaudited, the condensed financial information referred to in is stated on a basis substantially consistent with that of the audited consolidated statements included in the registration statement. The foregoing procedures do not constitute an audit conducted in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. Also, they would not necessarily reveal matters of significance with respect to the comments in the following paragraph. Accordingly, we make no representations regarding the sufficiency of the foregoing procedures for your purposes. By the way, nothing came to our attention as a result of the foregoing procedures, however, that caused us to believe that 1, any material modification should be made to the unaudited, condensed, consolidated financial statements included in the registration statement for them to be in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. You'll notice also nothing came to our attention that the unaudited, condensed financial statements described do not comply as to form in all material respects with the applicable accounting requirements of the Act and the related rules. Notice, it's positive if audited, and it includes footnotes. You'll note also nothing came to our attention, if you looked up above, regarding at May 31st, that there were any changes in capital stock, increases in long-term debt, or decreases in consolidated net current assets or stockholders' equity of the consolidated companies as compared with amounts shown in the March 31st, year 6, unaudited, condensed, consolidated balance sheet included in the registration statement. Or, once again, nothing came to our attention for the period April 1 through May 31st that there were any decreases as compared with corresponding periods in the preceding year in consolidated net sales, income from continuing ops, or net income, except in all instances for changes, increases, and decreases that the registration statement discloses or have occurred or may have occurred. And finally, the last one, as mentioned in the specific site, company officials have advised us that no non-consolidated financial statements as of any date or for any period subsequent to May 31st are available. Accordingly, the procedures carried out by us with respect to changes in financial statement items as of the 31st have, of necessity, been even more limited than those with respect to the periods referred to above. We have inquired of certain officials of the company who have responsibility for financial accounting matters whether at June 23rd there was any change in capital stock, increases in long-term debt, decreases in consolidated current assets or stockholders' equity of the consolidated company as compared to amounts as of the March 31st unaudited, condensed, consolidated statements included in the registration. All right, you can continue on. I'm going to read just a little bit lower. On the basis of these inquiries and our reading of the minutes as described above, nothing came to our attention that caused us to believe that there was any change, increase or decrease, except all instances for changes, increases, or decreases that the statement discloses have occurred or may have occurred. And finally, notice this paragraph. This letter is solely for the information of the addressee and to assist the underwriter in conducting the documentation, their investigation of the affairs of the company in connection with the offering of securities covered by the registration statement. And it is not to be used, circulated, quoted, or otherwise referred to within or without the underwriting group of for any other purpose, including but not limited to the registration, purchase, or sale of securities, nor is it to be filed or referred to in whole or in part in a registration statement or any other document with the exception that reference may be made to it in the underwriting agreement or in any list of closing documents pertaining to the offering of the securities covered by the registration statement. Whoa, there is a lot of material there. But you know what? Having gone through it just once might give you enough of a feel to understand how to respond to any question that might be asked in this area. All right, thank you for paying attention to this, and you're ready to move on.